I learned how to be quiet and how to go under the radar, but I still held close, and I was conscious of this. I held close who I was, my creative, crazy, wild, barefoot self. And I think that was important because a lot of people surrender to the system rather than holding on. And I credit my parents for that because they are very authentic and they hold who they are very close. So that rubbed off on me, I think. And I was able to separate who I am from who I appear to be. Yeah, as context, right now I'm doing a master's. I'm looking at the mindset of regenerative farmers. So I'm looking at how these sort of thought leaders think toward trying new things and learning and curiosity. So that's very exciting for me because I think it's bringing together my upbringing, which is biodynamics, etc., and my undergrad, which is quite conventional, and finding a happy, digestible medium for more people. So there's a lot of challenges going on right now, global, local, personal. Everyone walks a mile in different shoes. And I think something I bring is compassion and empathy. Because, I mean, I'm not in their shoes, but I can imagine and I can listen. I would describe it around seeing a person without applying judgment. Because a big problem that a lot of people apply is sort of profiling someone or trying to simplify something. And we are very complex, diverse creatures, and we like to simplify things because it makes it easier for our mind to deal with. Like, for example, you could profile me as a young man with blonde hair and a small scar on his forehead from where he scoped himself at Mount Cook on the weekend. But there's more to me than that. So embracing the complexity of a person and not applying judgment, and then being kind is another part of compassion, because by lumping, let's say, my judgment or anger or fear onto someone else, I'm making their life less enriched. So I believe that it's quite important for everyone, and I wouldn't put it as a challenge, but as an invitation for everyone to step back from their thinking when they're sort of in an interaction, particularly when it's a negative one, like, oh, I don't like that person or what they said. Step back and think, what could they be going through? And how will what I do or say affect them? So, yeah, the environment, kindness to ourselves, we have to start there. We can't be kind to anyone else unless we're kind to ourselves. And then that sort of echoes out like a ripple on a lake. If we're kind to ourselves, we can be kind to others. They can be kind to others. And if we're kind to our environment, and kind is not a good enough word, but if we are kind and compassionate to our environment, the saying healthy soil, healthy plants, healthy animals, healthy humans, I would add a part after healthy humans, healthy soil, make it a cycle,
Mm,
because everything in the world is connected
beautiful.
and it comes back. There is no separation. It's all fiction in our mind. We are all connected to everything. And that comes back to the individual action. Like, if I, let's say, bring a reusable bag to the supermarket, that has an effect. And it affects far more than we can imagine, because our imagination is great, but it is not very developed. So often I hear people say, oh, what I do won't have an effect. Uh, I, I'm only a tiny drop in the ocean, but you are still a drop in the ocean. We have a lot of long production supply chains, and that disconnects people from the earth or soil. And it's detrimental to this relationship that we've been describing, because if a person doesn't have a connection to their food or their environment, they are, of course, not going to have that connection and feedback loop back to the soil.